And today on Public Eye News, MDOT is going to lift more spring weight restrictions in the central UP, and a man has been charged with killing 3 in the Wisconsin tavern shooting.
Later, Martin will have your weather for the weekend, and Scott will have your sports update. Hello, I'm Ross Ray.
And I'm Mitchell Reif, and this is Public Eye News. And in Traverse City today, there is still a battle on a new segment of a pipeline connecting 2 of the Great Lakes. Enridge Incorporated, the company requesting the construction, has had the application review for a while now. The company aims to replace the section of Line 5 that runs beneath the Straits of Mackinac, constructing a new tunnel for the section underground. Effective tomorrow morning at 6 a.m., the Michigan Department of Transportation will be lifting the seasonal weight restrictions on all state line highways. Frost restrictions, however, still in effect. Visit www.michigan.gov/truckers for more information on weight restrictions and updates following. And earlier today, Michigan lawmaker Jewel Jones was charged with drunk driving and resisting arrest. Jones allegedly ignored verbal commands, and after being pinned to the ground, reports say he warned the officers not to hit him as he would, quote, call Governor Whitmer, end quote. And after police say they found a loaded handgun in the cup holder, Jones now faces charges including resisting arrest, obstruction of an officer, and driving with an unregistered weapon.
Earlier today, a woman won a drunken driving case at a Michigan Supreme Court in Huron County. Police had received an anonymous call alleging that a driver could be drunk, in which a county officer followed the woman's vehicle but didn't see any violations before stopping the vehicle and charging her with drunken driving while with a child and having an open container of alcohol. The woman was not convicted of the charges, however, as the stop had violated constitutional protections against search and seizure, according to a court in a 5-0 opinion. Yesterday, a Wisconsin man was charged with killing 3 people and wounding 3 others in a crowded bar. 24-year-old Racco Vincent of Kenosha was charged by prosecutors with 3 counts of first-degree intentional homicide and 3 counts of attempted first-degree intentional homicide. Those killed at Somers House Tavern in the village of Somers were 24-year-old Kedrick Gaston, 26-year-old Akeem Stevenson, and 22-year-old Kevin O'Donnellson, all of Kenosha. The judge set Vincent's next hearing for May 5th. And Green Bay's city attorney has released a report on the community's November election yesterday in response to questions raised by Republicans, state lawmakers, and other conservatives. The 19-page report mirrors the city's stance that it did nothing wrong when it conducted the election. As WNMU-TV reported, City Attorney Vanessa Chavez spoke with at least 22 city employees as well as workers at the KI Convention Center, where the city held its central operations on Election Day. The city has yet to file a response made by the complaints by 5 Green Bay residents, including the chair of Republican Party of Brown County, regarding the city's conduct during the election. And don't touch the dial, because after the break, we'll be back with your national and international news. Stay tuned.
On Masterpiece.
The United States
will remain a neutral nation.
Anyone can carry out the will of the voters, but it takes a strong person to do what's right.
The Neutrality Act forbids the sale of weapons to nations at war.
Europe is on fire, Franklin. Help my country.
Atlantic Crossing on Masterpiece.
Sunday night at 9.
Welcome back. And recently, President Joe Biden held a virtual meeting with the world's most powerful countries facing the issue of climate change, gaining commitment from countries like China and Russia to cooperate on cutting emissions despite past rivalries. Biden's new commitment of the U.S. cutting down on emissions to 52% by 2030 has alerted other countries like Japan and South Korea to follow. Russia and China have yet to announce their own emissions cut. However, the Biden administration calls require by far the most ambitious national effort ever. According to AP News, the new commitment nearly doubles the amount the Obama administration had. And in London, the automotive company Jaguar Land Rover recently stated that they would halt production due to a chip shortage. The pandemic arising in 2020, chip factories began shutting down, causing a surge of back orders as they reopened. As the automotive industry is changing, with cars now being more like computers, a chip shortage can be devastating towards those companies involved. While experiencing supply interruptions, the pandemic has caused more issues erupting with scheduling orders and meeting their demands.
And earlier today, British authorities apologized after an investigation found mostly African and Indian military service personnel who died during World War I had not been properly honored due to pervasive racism. The investigation found at least 161,000 service members were either not commemorated by name or weren't commemorated at all, according to the report commissioned by the Commonwealth War Graves Commission. It is said the number could possibly range up to 350,000 people. And cigarette smoking in America has decreased dramatically in the past decade, but cigarette butts remain the most littered item in the U.S. and around the globe. CBS's Ian Lee is in London with the story of a man determined to do something about it.
While others enjoy the beach, Julian Melser is there to save it.
Makes me look like a professional.
Call him a professional butt remover, picking up used cigarettes on Israel's beaches.
It's burning in my soul, it's burning in my bones. It's burning in my eyes when I see trash in the beach.
It's a big problem for oceans. Environmentalists say cigarette filters are the most toxic single-use plastic on the planet. Worldwide, it's estimated trillions are tossed every year. Melser had picked up thousands, but then the pandemic hit.
And all of a sudden I find myself 6 months, no work.
With plenty of time on his hands, he started collecting more and more and more, turning one person's trash into another's treasure by creating artwork. Although he prefers another side hustle, selling cigarette pouches for a few dollars, so people keep their butts off the beach. This bartender says it's an amazing project that protects the earth. Melser is a man on a mission.
Just trying to save the world.
And make Tel Aviv's beaches a better place. Ian Lee, CBS News.
And after a one-day weather delay, SpaceX is scheduled to launch 4 astronauts to the International Space Station tomorrow. This morning, CBS has a live look at a launch pad 39A at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. The mission is set to make history. Mark Strassman is near the launch pad to tell us why.
There's the splashdown.
There once was a time when splashdown meant a museum for a crewed space capsule. Not anymore.
Welcome back to planet Earth, and thanks for flying SpaceX.
This Dragon capsule, charred like a marshmallow, flew SpaceX's first crew last summer. Now, with a new heat shield and parachutes, SpaceX is set to fly people in it again. Its next passengers, this international crew of veteran astronauts, including 2 Americans. SpaceX will also reuse the first stage booster of this rocket from its last crewed flight in November. By landing and reflying its boosters, SpaceX has driven down the cost of launching satellites and cargo. But flying people on used hardware required NASA's okay.
And so we went through a pretty exhaustive process with SpaceX to look at what we needed to refurbish on those systems and gone through engineering review to make sure they're safe to fly.
At least it did the job that it was designed for once, and everything worked fine the first time around.
Tomorrow's crew is confident the hardware will work just as well the second time around.
I think you have to be an optimist if you're going to be an astronaut. If you think at everything that could go wrong, it's a rather long list, and you're not going to sleep much at night.
Release. This was NASA astronaut Megan MacArthur, working on the Hubble telescope back in 2009. Her confidence returning to space tomorrow in a used capsule runs deep.
I know somebody that I trust completely was really involved in developing this vehicle.
That somebody is fellow astronaut Bob Behnken, her husband. On that very first SpaceX flight last summer, Behnken flew in the same Crew Dragon capsule. In fact, sat in the very same seat that his wife will ride into space.
It is funny to me that sometimes I'll start asking questions of the trainers and they'll say, you know, your husband had this same set of questions for us.
Is he going to leave you a note?
I'm not sure, although I think, you know, if there's any chewed up gum under the seat, I'll know where it came from.
The weather forecast looks good for liftoff tomorrow, set for 5:49 a.m. The crew will dock with the space station on Saturday morning. Mark Strassman, CBS News at the Kennedy Space Center.
And after this break, Marn will have your weather report and I will have your sports update. Stay tuned.
The unthinkable happened.
On Finding Your Roots, Broadway legends Audra McDonald.
Talk about respecting your elders. I respected them anyway, but...
And Mandy Patinkin.
I feel more alive
from this journey.
Ancestors who thrived.
I'm so proud of him.
And those who were lost.
This is insanity.
Plus,
you want to meet your cousin?
I do. Are you kidding me?
Finding Your Roots.
Tuesday night at 8 on WNMU-TV.
And welcome back to Public Eye News. My name is Marn, and I'll be taking you through your weather today. Behind me is the beautiful and sunny NMU campus, where you can see some students gathering for Earth Day celebrations. Let's take a look into our current conditions. Right now it is sunny with a temperature of 41 degrees and winds blowing east-northeast at 9 miles an hour and a barometric pressure of 29.94 inches and falling. Tonight we will see clear skies with a low of 38 degrees and winds blowing south-southwest at 11 miles an hour. And into tomorrow, we're going to see partly cloudy skies with a high of 57 degrees and winds blowing west-southwest at 11 miles an hour. Let's take a look at conditions across the UP. It is sunny all across the UP today, a beautiful day. In Sault Ste. Marie, it is 44 degrees. In Manistique, 46. In Escanaba, 45 degrees. In Menominee, 46 degrees. And let's take a look at the other side of the UP. In Iron Mountain, we're going to see 50 degrees. In Ironwood, 52. All the way up in Houghton, 51 degrees. And back home here in Marquette, 41 degrees and sunny. Let's take a look at your week ahead. On Saturday, we will have a high of 44 degrees and a low of 28 degrees with a mix of rain and snow throughout the day. Then Sunday, we will have a high of 39 degrees and a low of 32 degrees with partly cloudy skies. And on Monday, we'll have a high of 47 degrees and a low of 44 degrees with cloudy skies. Now let's toss it over for a sports update.
Thanks, Maren. The sports media company Overtime has just received an $80 million investment from a group including Amazon, Jeff Bezos, and music artist Drake. Overtime produces a variety of sports content focused on youth and high school sports. The company announced a paid basketball league for 16 to 18-year-old players just last month. A media release from the company stated players in the league could earn up to $1,000 a year and an additional $1,000 towards college tuition if they do not pursue a professional career. The International Olympics Committee stated yesterday that they will continue their ban on athletes protesting, demonstrating while on the medal podium at the Games. Like before, athletes who chose to demonstrate or protest while at the medal podium will be punished for their actions. At this time, it's unclear what the sanctions the athletes will face, as the exact punishment still needs to be determined by the Olympic Committee legal officials. While the Olympics have banned protesting on the podium, they are currently working on either ways to highlight the issues athletes would protest about. And the Indy 500, NASCAR's premium races, has announced it will host up to 135,000 fans for the 2021 race. This comes just 1 year after the race was held with no one in attendance due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Even with over 100,000 people in attendance, the track will only be at 40% capacity. According to officials, the number of fans has been approved by Marion County Public Health Department, and they are confident that they will hold the race in a safe and enjoyable manner for both and drivers. This man is putting the fun back in funeral. Ross Halls runs a business. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, well, that's all the time we have today for Public Eye News. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for our last show of the semester. Stay safe out there and have a great Earth Day.
The preceding program was produced by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television, in studios located in Elizabeth and Edgar Hardin Hall.